listen to this. I'm going to modulate the drum loop by itself at a... Not so interesting. Okay, let's change the wave shape. Okay, and if we modulate that by itself... That's the extreme. There's 10 octave range on the modulation. Let's see what else is in here. Oops. Probably not too interesting. Let's see. Could be. So again, I'm just modulating the oscillator by itself. Pretty much unrecognizable there, huh? Yeah, I've never heard that sound before. You'll notice that the transient is going to cause the frequency change, right? Okay. So anyway, fun with samples. So here's another thing. We're using one oscillator, and the thing is that each time I press a key, I can play another voice with a different sample, even without doing... We don't have multi-samples in here. But here's an example. I'll just start layering samples up. Let's start with the drum loop thing. Now I'm going to change samples. The next one was that kind of wolf thing, right? So we can have lots of fun with these things. Let's move on to the next thing. This is showing a Prophet VS. Just the fact that we have the joystick set up. There are actually two vector mixers, and you can prearrange. There's a 8-stage looping envelope, and that's what I'm using here. It's a 2-dimensional envelope. There's X and Y control for VS stuff. And lastly, I'll show you this lead sound that I have with the joystick, and then I'll show you another version of it. So for the 4 corners, I have these... It's a little difficult to try to manipulate this pitch bending and so on. So we look at a new feature called a rotor. And what the rotor object does, there's 2 of them in here. The rotor takes 4 inputs, and they can be anything in the synthesizer. They can be any audio source. They can also be any controlling source, envelopes, LFOs, or it can be any of the 4 external inputs. And they'll play 1, 2, 3, 4. And continually rotating those 4. Here I've got 4 sine waves tuned differently. and they're changing, the transition is very smooth. If I turn that off, now you'll hear the abrupt change, right? So we can speed this up. And if we crossfade them and slow it down. But of course, it's not just like a little baby sequencer. You can run it at audio rates. And in fact, just track it from the keyboard and it becomes now its own oscillating source. So now I can tune the rotation by using it like an oscillator, but the inputs, whatever they happen to be, if they're whatever they're tuned at, whatever wave shapes they are, all of those variances contribute to the harmonic content. So, and we have two of these, so well, the idea was if you use these as audio oscillators, you can have them detuned nicely. So now the thing I was showing you with the joystick for the vector lead, here's the same thing, but now for each corner I'm using 4 inputs on the rotor, and it's moving really slowly. If I press down for aftertouch, it'll speed it up. So if you play it cleverly, though, you don't always hear that. You can just bear down, let up, as you wish the sound to progress, right? So it's, again, another way to use this rotor function without getting too much more into it, but that's that. This example is from the old days when I was working for Moog, and you take the output of the synthesizer, you plug it back into itself, and you overdrive it, right? Always a very desirable sound in my mind, and never quite achievable on the plugins that I've heard. So anyway, now I'm taking the output of the VCA, and what I'll do is I'll turn up the level. It's at 39%. I'll turn it up, and you'll hear the overdrive. Gets a little, just like it does on the Mini one, it gets a little out of control, so you can raise resonance, or you can mess with different things. Or just turn it down. It's another, I don't think I showed this. Just some basic analog type things here. And we did this already. How are we doing? Out of time?